My name is Khalid Saleh. I'm the CEO of Invesp. We are a conversion optimization software and services company. We started the company back in 2006, so we've been doing this for almost 11 years. And what I'm going to be sharing with you is some of the lessons that we've learned from conducting thousands upon thousands of A/B tests. We've done about 3,000 plus successful A/B tests. We've done 400 plus successful conversion optimization projects in 11 different countries. So before I get started, let me talk to you about one of our clients, long-term client, been around with us since 2010. So the client sort of does a little bit of conversion optimization, goes away, then comes back. I remember when we started with them, they had a single person marketing team. And they came back to us this year with a full conversion optimization team, just dedicated to conversion optimization, 7-person team, which is very impressive. They grew their revenue from 1.5 million annually in sales to about $8 million in annual revenue by strictly focusing on conversion optimization. So we're always excited to have some of our old clients come back to us, and we sat with them, and I was looking at their data. So one of the things that I was taken back by is the number of A/B tests that they conducted back in 2015. They conducted 150 tests. That's, by the way, very unusual. So typically when we work with our clients, if the client is really aggressive, we might be able to conduct anywhere between 30 to 40 tests a month. And that's for an aggressive client that has a dedicated team that's just slowly focused on conversion optimization. They have a development team that's their only job is to take our test plans and implement them. So when this client came and told us, well, last year we did 150 tests, I was like, wow. If you do the math, that's you're almost conducting a test every couple of days. You're conducting a new test. So I was expecting that their revenue would have shot up by doing 150 tests. So the next natural question is, so what kind of uplift did you have after conducting 150 tests? Zero uplift. Now, if you think about it, conducting an A/B test, correct? Whenever you're fixing your website, there is time and effort that is really involved, correct? Your design team, your usability team is sitting there, thinking about new designs. You give those new designs to your development team. They implement them. So not only they did not increase their conversion rates, but they've actually wasted a lot of time and a lot of money, and at the end, they have zero to show for. So, they tell us, hey, we'd like to come back to you guys, are you guys interested? I'm like, sure, we'll start. So I always tell my wife, I'm responsible for the sales. I bring the clients, and then she has to deal, she's my partner, she has to deal with actual delivery. So I call her up and I tell her, hey, client so-and-so just signed up, really excited, so she's happy. I was like, yeah, just by the way, small note, they did 150 tests last year, and they have a zero uplift. So she's like, what? 150? I mean, if you're just throwing things at the wall, something would stick. At least one test would succeed. And I'm like, nah, I'm sure you guys will do well. We'll deliver for them. So we did some testing for them. The first test, 0% uplift. Second test, 0% uplift. And now we're like, oh, maybe their website conversion rate had hit about 8.5% conversion rate for an overall conversion rate for an e-commerce website, which is pretty decent. By US standards, UK, that's a little lower. So we're thinking, okay, maybe we're not able to deliver an increase in conversions. Third test, we actually delivered a 4% increase in conversions. Now we're like, okay, so if there is a process and you're actually able to follow this process and you're patient, because conversion optimization, hear me repeat this, is not a light switch you turn on and off. You have to be really committed to it, just like any other type of marketing, PPC, SEO, social media, you really have to be committed, correct? And you have to have tactical moves that you have, but also you have strategic moves that you take. Their fourth test had a 15% uplift in conversion optimization. So what I'm going to share with you is some of the methods that we use. And these methods we've used with some large retailers, eBay, Dish Network. I mean, some of if you're an affiliate and you worked with some of the top 100 e-commerce websites, most likely you benefited from our services one way or another. Increasing online conversion rates is a fairly complex problem, and the numbers tell us that. If it weren't, then the average website would convert 15 and 20 and 25% of its visitors into customers. But the reality is that most websites are converting at 2 and 3%. If you are looking to increase your website conversion rate, you really have to have very sophisticated analysis. That sophisticated analysis should produce very focused solutions, focused designs, and those focused designs must have a higher probability of success, because ultimately you are going to test. You're going to go to your visitors, your website visitors, and you're going to tell them, okay, you're going to be the judge of the quality of those new designs that the usability team or the conversion optimization team or the growth hacking team came up with. Tell me, which design worked best? Is it the old design or the new design? Now, like I mentioned, the lessons that you'll hear over here are from O'Reilly, 3M, Dish Network, eBay, How Stuff Works, Keys. All of these companies, the one thing that brings them together is they were really frustrated by their low website conversion rate. We're talking about 1, 2, 3% conversion rate. And by working consistently and actually following a process and actually believing in the process, they're able to see at a minimum their conversion rates increase to 8, 10%. A couple of the clients over here have seen their conversion rate increase above 12%. Now, one thing that's extremely important that you want to remember is that getting to the big yes, in order for me to get to that big yes, there are lots of smaller yeses that the visitor must go through, correct? Before he says, okay, well, I am ready to convert, I'm going to give you my credit card information, or I'm going to fill out the contact form, I'm going to fill a subscription form. There are lots of smaller yeses, and the challenge for you as a marketer, or somebody who is really focused on conversion optimization, is you have to get the visitor to say yes all the way, and if the visitor says a single no, then the conversion process breaks, correct? And they're out of the website, and it's like, oops, we've lost that visitor. So, trying to figure out what areas of the website you want to optimize is extremely critical. Now, if you have unlimited budget, unlimited time, and resources, I'll tell you, go ahead and optimize as much as you like. You can optimize the home page, the product pages, the category pages, subscription page, the lead page, the landing pages. All of these pages represent an opportunity, correct? But if you're like the most of us, working with a limited budget, limited resources, then you want to really figure out first what pages I should optimize. And we'll talk about how you figure that out. Another question that you want to ask is, well, so I have a page. I want to optimize. What should I be optimizing on the page? You lock up 5 designers in a room for a week, and they'll come up with 100 designs, 200 designs, if they have the time, correct? And the designs might look nice and fancy and usable, but they may or may not work for your website visitors, and that's really what matters at the end. The website visitors, and am I going to be able to persuade them to convert or not? So, one thing that you want to remember is best practices are really good in theory, but they are difficult in practice. And you hear this all the time, correct? It's like, well, this worked for this website, but please test it, because you never know if it's going to work for your website or it doesn't work for your website. So, I'm not a big believer in best practices. However, at the same time, it doesn't mean that you take those best practices and you throw them away. You must learn how to apply them within the right context. So, one thing that I've noticed that when people get started with conversion optimization, they are very, very excited. And we get this all the time. We had a client just signed up with us 3 days ago, and somehow one of their marketing guys forwarded the email from their CEO to me asking some questions, and I see at the bottom of the email, she's telling them, it's extremely critical for us that we see an uplift by the end of August. I'm like, wow, I need to give her a call. So I called her up yesterday, and I told her, you're expecting to see an uplift in conversions by the end of August? She said, yes. I told her, okay, so did any of our sales guys promise that? I said, no. However, I have a board I need to report to, and I'm like, oh, I understand your business circumstances. However, conversion optimization is a process, and if anybody It doesn't matter to me who he is, whether he works for us at Invesp or any other conversion optimization company or a growth hacker or an analytics expert tells you, oh, well, sign up with me, I'm going to increase your conversions in 30 days. I would run away from them, in all honesty. I'm like, I mean, they might get lucky, but I don't know about you. You don't want to rely on luck, correct? I don't gamble with my business. I take hard, very well studied, educated steps, but I do not gamble. Now, as you start with conversion optimization, what you discover is that 50% of A/B tests actually fail. It's just like flipping a coin, by the way. It's like 50%, heads or tails. This actually study is based on what we did with our clients, where we saw that 50% of their A/B tests before joining us were succeeding or failing. The industry average is actually scarier. The industry average says that 1 out of 12 A/B tests succeeds, and the remaining 11 actually fail. That's a scary thought, because I'll invest the time and money and I'll create the test, and then at the end, I don't produce a result. So, what happens? When you see tests like that, and you've invested the time and the money, people freak out. 3-4 months later, they're like, you know what? This sounded really good. We believed in it. However, conversion optimization does not make sense. Let's go back to PPC. Let's go back to SEO. And I always tell companies, you have to invest in each one of these activities. Do not rely on a single effort. Our client that I mentioned that did the 150 tests, so they've set up their PPC campaigns, I think since 2009. They haven't touched them since then. And the owner does not believe in SEO. And I've been actually calling him and telling him, we don't offer PPC or SEO services or anything, we just don't touch them. And I've been telling him, looking at your channels, your paid channels are really excellent, but you haven't reviewed your ads in almost 7 or 8 years. SEO, you don't get any organic traffic, although it converts twice as good as your regular traffic. You really need to focus and invest in those channels. And that's really what you need to look at, different channels, what's working well for my business, what's not, and have the commitment. That's how you're able to double your revenue. And again, remember, conversion optimization is not the light switch you turn on and off. Marketing is not the light switch you turn on and off. It's a long-term commitment and a process. So, this is all nice and fine. So how do I actually increase my website conversion rate? That's what you guys came over here to learn. So, this is the process that we follow for conversion optimization. I'm not going to cover how you actually choose the right pages for your website, because in order for you to do that, you have to do qualitative research by sitting and listening to your visitors, asking them questions, what works on your website, what didn't work, looking at your analytics data, doing lots of quantitative research, lots of funnels. I'll give you, by the way, a good example I was thinking about qualitative research. So I've been wanting to drink a Frappuccino for the past, 3-4 weeks. We have 2 offices. We have an office in Detroit, we have an office in Istanbul, and I've been traveling for the last almost, 2 months. So finally there's a Starbucks, and I'm like, oh, I'm really excited, I'm gonna get a Frappuccino. So I go there, and I've downloaded the Starbucks app. I'm like, oh, this is great, I can order. I go in, and I fill in my email. I'm like, email. Oh, I downloaded the app 2 months ago, and I don't remember which email. I put in my Yahoo email, put in the password. I have a standard password, password, and it tells me wrong. However, it also erases my email. The password is like wrong password. I'm like, really? Okay, maybe it's a different password. Put in my Yahoo email again, put in a different password, fails again, wipes out the email. I'm like, really, I have to type it again, and I have a long name and a long email. Third time, it fails. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. This is really nobody at Starbucks thought about looking at something as simple as a user using their app. Very simple transaction, correct? But they forgot their username and password. This is one of the things that you want to think about. What are the most common 10 different things that visitors do on your website? Maybe they land on your website from an organic search, they search for a product, they place an order. Maybe they click on an email, they land on your website, they fill out the contact form, they click on a PPC ad, they go to a lead gen on their mobile device. Think about the 10 most common paths that the visitor goes through, and actually go ahead and follow these paths. Because I assure you, Starbucks did not do that, correct? They didn't think about, how about the visitor who forgot their username and password? Anyway, so I put in my Gmail address, and it turns out to be the correct username, password, click login, and just goes in this infinite loop, and it never really logs me in. I'm like, really? So this is basically a lazy developer who doesn't have a clue about usability who implemented the app. And I can say that I used to be a software architect for Motorola, American Express, GoToMeeting. So I've seen many, many lazy developers. Now, I'll tell you what's even more annoying. So I've, the incorrect email was my Yahoo email. I just got an email from Starbucks on my Yahoo email inviting me. So they used the wrong email, which they said you didn't register with our website using this email. Now they're using it for marketing purposes. I'm like, really, guys? Delete the app. Think about the most common paths that the visitor goes through and test those paths. Bring just typical users and see how they interact with your website. How do I increase my website conversion rate? First, I identify the problems on the different pages that you're evaluating. Then prioritize those problems. A good conversion optimization specialist can pinpoint anywhere between 50 to 150 problems on a single page. If he or she knows what they are doing, you don't want to fix 50 or 150 problems. You want to focus on the top 5 or 10 problems, so prioritize the problems. Then create a hypothesis. If we redesign the page, focusing a lot on value proposition, adding so and so, this will increase our conversion. So you create a hypothesis, then you create the designs, and then you conduct an A/B test. Every time I see one of our team members coming to me with a new design for our page, I tell them, we'll never see it. First thing that you want to do is you show me the problems that you're trying to fix. Convince me, that there is something broken on the page before you show me the new designs, no matter how nice they are, no matter how much you think, because you've been doing conversion optimization for 7 years and you've been with us, I don't care. I need to see the problems that you're trying to fix, and then show me the designs. Now, in order for you to increase your website conversion rate, you must understand that the way visitors interact with your website, there are what we call website-centric factors, and there are visitor-centric factors. Website-centric factors are things that you control as a website owner. You have full control over those elements. And those include trust and confidence. Those include engagement. You need to be able to engage your visitors. Those include FUDs, fears, uncertainties, and doubts. And finally, those include incentives. So those are what we call website-centric factors. I have full control over them. I can play with those factors. They're also what we call visitor-centric factors. The visitor persona. I'm kind of the perfect visitor for any website because I have my credit card in hand, I land on your website, I'm ready to buy right away. So the visitor personas are really different. There's the sales complexity. We have a client that sells furniture. Average order value is $2,000. I remember when he signed up with us, calls me up, he says, Khalid, do you buy furniture? I'm like, yeah, of course. He's like, do you buy furniture online? I'm like, really? I've been trying to buy a mattress and I go to mattress stores and I lay down on 3 different mattresses and I get really confused. So I don't know about buying a mattress online. He says, well, actually, you need to understand that the average order value is $2,000 and it takes 6 weeks to ship the item. And if you don't like it, you cannot return it. And you need to help us increase our website conversion rate. So the sales complexity varies from one website to the next. And then the different buying stages that the visitor comes on. So how does this work? Again, you want to create lots of funnels and goals in your Google Analytics. If you only have 2 or 3 goals in your Google Analytics, you're not doing a good job, by the way, tracking your visitors. At a minimum, and I don't care what type of website you have, you need to have at least 10 to 15 different funnels. Visitors navigating, I'll give you an example for an e-commerce website. From my homepage to my category pages, from my category pages to my product pages, from my product pages back to my category pages. Give me a lead gen type website, from my landing page to the thank you page, homepage to the landing pages, correct? From my homepage to my services pages, from my services page back to my homepage. I need funnels to track every movement of the visitor on my website. And that is your quantitative research, qualitative research. We talked about that. Listen to your visitors. The best $50 that you can spend. Invite 10 people, average visitors to your, off your website. Invite them to lunch. Give them $50, basically free lunch. And watch them interacting with your website. You will thank me if you take anything out of this. You will thank me for this for years to come because you'll be amazed how they interact with your website. There are 3 questions that you want to ask on every page. Does the visitor know where they are when they land, regardless to what source they came, or are they going to get confused? Sometimes it's very clear to you where the visitor is, but are we making it clear to the visitor where they are? That's the first question. Does the visitor know what actions he needs to take on the page? That's extremely very clear. Sometimes people have way too many calls to action. Correct? And it's like, I should be able to clearly identify the call to action. And I always tell people, if I change the language from English to German, Greek, I don't know, whatever weird language, Can the visitor identify the call to action clearly on your page or not? And the last thing, does the visitor know what will happen if I click on the call to action? Answer those questions on every page, and each one of those questions will help you identify items that you need to take. Second, so first thing, we answer those questions. Second thing, I'm going to look at my page, and I'm going to say, does the page enhance the visitor's trust in my website? Back in 2007, it took the visitors 3 seconds to decide whether they trusted the website or not. In 2015, our study shows that it takes the visitor less than half a second to decide. So, you need to think about your clear value proposition, continuity in messaging. If I'm sending an email to my visitors and I'm using a specific picture in the email, when the visitor clicks on that email, they need to write on a landing page that uses the same color, the same design, same image, same messaging. All these things enhance the visitor's trust in the website. Next thing you want to ask, what are the biggest problems that visitors face on the page? What are their fears, uncertainties, and doubts? And if you're not clear, by the way, you can ask your website visitors a nice small pop-up on the side. Is there anything on the page that's stopping you from buying? Yes or no? Very simple. And if they answer yes, then what you do is second, the same pop-up tells them, will you be kind to share your information? You'll be amazed about the amount of knowledge that visitors are willing to share with you. So you listen to your visitors, you identify the top FUDs that visitors face. Second, you want to identify incentives. How do I incentivize a visitor to act? And by incentives, not only through price discounts. Lots of people are thinking, well, I need to offer discounts. No, there are many different types of incentives. Urgency, order in the next 2.5 hours, receive your order tomorrow, correct? We're running a special subscription offer at $19.99, discounted, that runs out in the next half an hour. So the urgency is a great way to incentivize visitors to act and act right now, as opposed to saying, I'll bookmark this, I'll come back to it later. Finally, scarcity. Only 3 items remain in stock. We're only accepting 1 more client. That is scarcity, and that incentivizes the visitor to act. How do you engage the visitor to actually act? And by engagement, by the way, you move from a single conversion to a long-time relationship with the visitor. So you want to think about that. How do I actually create engagement? Are there engagement elements on the page? Is there something missing on the page? You want to think about the different types of personas. I told you, I'm very spontaneous. Spontaneous type personas are about 35% of the population. Give me the information, I'm ready to convert. A lot different than my wife, who takes her sweet time. She reads every piece of copy on the page, thinks about it again and again. So you want to address visitor personas, thinking, well, okay, for the spontaneous type persona, are we really allowing them to place the order right away? For the logical type persona, are we giving them all the information that they need? Next thing that you want to think about, most websites are designed for people who are in the action stage. That's only 20% of your visitors. You all remember the ADA model, correct? So only 20% of your visitors are ready to act. How about visitors who are early on? I'm still thinking about it. Maybe I'm evaluating alternatives. I'm browsing for different options. Are you really thinking about those visitors? Maybe you just need to capture an email and do direct marketing to them. But what you need to do, and you need to be very careful about, is you don't want to really think about those early visitors and give them the information and then have them convert on a competing website, correct? I want to give you information to help you move forward in the process, but ultimately I want you to convert on my website and deal with complex sales. Again, selling an item for $2,000 is a lot different than selling an item for $20, correct? So you want to look at your average order value, and if there's a lot more investment required from the visitor, then there's a lot more persuasion that needs to go into this. So how do I do this ultimately? We take visitor personas and we take different mediums that they're coming from, and we look at different elements of the page. So we say, okay, we have Jessica. She's very spontaneous. She landed on the website by clicking on an email link from Gmail, and she is still, she's price conscious and she's early in the funnel. Are we addressing Jessica? And she's going to shop tremendously different than Susan, who is a caring type persona. And Susan's a lot later in the buying funnel. And she landed on our website because she clicked on a link from Facebook. So you start thinking about these personas, where they're coming from, and the buying stage. And for each one of them, we're identifying problems on the page. It's like, we're not addressing the need for Mike over here. We're not addressing the need for Susan. And we start coming up with problem after problem. So you identify the problems before making any changes, list of the problems, then we prioritize the problems. This is the most pressing problem, this is the second most pressing problem. You have to prioritize the problems before you make any change on the website. Then you create hypothesis. I'm going to fix problem 1 by doing XYZ on the page. This is how I'm going to create new designs. And then you test. And remember, conducting an A/B test or a multivariate test without following a process most of the times is a waste of time and money. Our goal typically is to, what I tell companies, we deal with lots of enterprise companies, launch 24 tests a month. We've seen companies that are a lot more aggressive. We've seen companies that are less aggressive. They're trying to do 3-4 tests. Anywhere between 18 to 30 tests a month is really good. And your goal is to achieve a 5% uplift month to month. If you're able to do that annually, by the way, that translates to about 75% uplift in your conversion rates, which is incredible. If I'm able to deliver a 5% because it's cumulative, correct? So that translates to a really great increase in conversion rates. Again, the process, you identify the problems, you prioritize the problems, you create your hypothesis, you create the designs based on the hypothesis, and then you conduct an A/B test. So I'm going to finish with a couple of giveaways over here. We've written a book about conversion optimization. It's on Amazon.com. At some point, it was an Amazon.com best-selling book. When we wrote it was, I think, the second or third book on conversion optimization. There's about 70 books on conversion optimization. If you'd like to get a free copy, electronic copy of the book, drop an email to book@invesp.com. You will have to create an account on O'Reilly, the publisher's website, but then you'll be able to download the book. So just drop us an email. And the second giveaway. So how do you follow this process? We've actually created this software. This is an internal software that we use for our clients. We've used it for eBay. We've used it Rainbow Shop. We've used it for large enterprise retailers and SaaS websites. This software is going to go into public beta probably mid-September. If you'd like to get access to it, just go to FigPi. Figs, the plant represents wisdom. Pi, plan, implement, improve. So get an account. This actually also has our panorama module, which you load up your page and it asks you questions. It asks you 250 questions. And this is what we use internally to evaluate a page, and identify what are the problems on the page based on the type of website. It brings lots of structure into conversion optimization. If I can help you, drop me an email. My email is Khalid @Invesp. You can visit our website, Invesp CRO. Follow me on Snapchat. By the way, if you are marketing to anybody who is 18 to 24, you have to be on Snapchat. I was listening to a study, it was conducted by HBR, and they're asking these basically teenagers, and 15 to 20 years old. It's like, do you use Facebook? They're like, no, Facebook is for our parents. We don't even get on it. Everybody is on Snapchat, so you can follow me also on Snapchat. Thank you, everybody.